Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Christmas pad event that is returning to North America on time. So, occasionally North America does get events that coincide with the Japanese server, and Christmas just happens to be one of them. Unfortunately, the Christmas raring machine, despite the fact that they have new cards and some new buffs, is still underwhelming in my opinion. And the reason why I'm making this video now, even though we're going to have an article at some point in the very near future for myself, is that it gives players a heads up to know if their magic stones should be saved for Christmas or spent during Player's Choice Godfest, which is happening right now. So, for the most part, the Christmas event is a 5-stone rared machine, which means that there is a certain degree of power capping, so to speak. It's not like Dragon Bound, Dragon Collar, so on and so forth. And that also means that we can kind of expect the fact that the cards at the bottom rarity are going to be weaker. And that is a bit of a shame because when you are rolling in an event, you're obviously trying to gain as much value as possible. Something like the Full Metal Alchemist collab has quite low value at the bottom, so it makes it harder to justify rolling in, whereas Dragon Bound Dragon Collar has tremendous value at the bottom rarity. So again, I'm loath to suggest rolling in this event for as a general rule, because the bottom rarity is lackluster and you're most likely going to be acquiring the 5s and 6-star cards. And some of the 7 and 8-star cards are exciting, but it's just not enough. And they did buff some of the cards, but some of the cards were not buffed enough to gain enough relevancy to truly justify it. So for myself, I plan to just simply take my free roll and skip the rest of the thing at this point in time. So there is going to be a new Christmas Yogg, because Yogg has to come in every single colors. Unfortunately, Yogg will not be in a bikini this time, which may or may not please some people. There will be a new Romeo, which is quite pretty, and there's a new Grita, who is incredibly asset heavy to the point where her back is falling over. But other than that, there's not too much else in that regards. They will have Christmas Red Sonja available in the Monster Point shop for 300,000 Monster Points. It's an interesting card. It does have some applications because it's a bicolor board changer with haste. And we've seen from some ranking dungeons that having bicolor board changer with haste means you're able to form very niche and specific ranking dungeon teams that can score higher, because you are able to essentially pop bicolors, which are easier to solve, and then haste up a certain button or a fast charging active skill to use once again. It's incredibly luxurious. It's not something players can do for the most part, but say you have a couple of these already through, say, Mori Montanari's or Halloween Sonjas, it might be worth picking up another one to kind of solidify your ranking dungeon teams for the future. There will be a skill leveling dungeon, which is wonderful. It's just easier to skill up your cards. And there's going to be an event dungeon, so you are able to basically have the chance at Santa dropping some of the old 4-star cards, like the healer girls, like Echidna, Lilith, and whatnot, as well as a couple of other random 4-star cards in that regards. And now about the new cards that are being released. So Grita is the 7-star, so not the top rarity, so you cannot monster exchange for her. She has 4 TPAs, which is kind of similar to her Dragon Bound Dragon Collar form in that she had some TPAs. She's got full bind immunity and then dungeon bonus. So nothing that spectacular in my opinion. It's just not that great of an awakening set, because again, TPAs don't really have as much desirability at this point in time. Their active skill is interesting though. You change all enemies attribute to light, and then you change light, jammer, and poisons to dark. So very similar to what Grizzar is basically, except there's no haste, and you get to change the enemy to light. So changing the enemy's attribute is interesting for a couple of reasons. For cheesing teams that are running, say, a Venus leader, it can be useful, but again, we have Kiri, and now we gain the puppeteers from the most recent ranking dungeon, so color swapping for cheesing should not be that big of a priority. So the other area that I can foresee this having some applications is against incredibly tanky spawns where you want to deal as much damage as possible. So right now, the best ways to amplify your damage is obviously using something like a Gemstone Princess or a Wise Dragon to boost your damage output as high as possible. Use a full board enhancer to enhance all your orbs, so those give more damage. And then you can even pop a Skyfall generating active alongside of it to give you a chance of Skyfalls coming down and giving more. But other than that, you can't really push your damage any higher unless you're facing a spawn that has the appropriate color typing. So if you can change the enemy's attribute to light and you're a dark-based team, you just gain 2 times effective damage. So for example, let's say hypothetically you want to use a Dark Metatron team, which is dark-based, and you're fighting a spawn that is any other color than light that has like 1 billion health, let's say. Well, that's a lot of health, but if we swap their attribute to light, suddenly that 1 billion health card now has only 500 million. Significantly easier to deal with. So some interesting applications there for color swapping for just boosting your damage. Like swapping colors definitely has the most applications for red, blue, and green, because if say you're running a blue-based Beach Barber and Julie team and you fight a wood spawn, you're dealing 50% damage. But if you swap them to red, now you're dealing 2 times damage for a 4 times damage increase. Just small things you can keep in mind, but again, Grita I feel is not that great outside of her like assets. Now we have Romeo, and Romeo is a new 8-star card. So she's got double 7 combo, she's got 3 skill boosts, which is quite exciting for a lot of teams, and a single time extend, full bind immunity. Their active skill is interesting as well. You change the whole board to fire, wood, and dark, and heal orbs. So 4 elemental board changes, so that is nice. You are likely to have a follow-up attack because statistically on a 6x5 board, you have 30 orbs. You divide by 4, you have 7.5. You only need 5 for a follow-up attack, so you should most likely have at least a follow-up attack available with that board changer, which is nice. But then you also get wood orbs more likely to appear for 4 turns, I believe, or 3. There's wood skyfalls included in here, so that's interesting because I don't believe there is any skyfall generating active skill combined with board changers. So this can have some interesting applications for certain teams. Obviously, wood-based teams love this more. Like say you're running Osiris, which is kind of like Dark Metatron Light. This can definitely have great applications for your team overall. So something to keep in mind, like, and it's also the fact that she has double 7 combo and actually triple with her super awakenings, means she can hit incredibly hard. But the thing is, how important is it to hit incredibly hard? It's debatable. There are a lot of 777 combo cards now available. Like if you've been keeping up to date with your Pantheon buffs, Michael, Uriel, and Gabriel are one of the older Pantheons, and they've all received a 777 combo through their super awakening, which means they have 3 7 combos as well from a regular Pantheon card. So more and more cards are having large amounts of damage. In terms of their leader skill, it's 4 times attack with 6 or more combos, which is always doable. And then you get plus 2 seconds or movement time, which is nice. And then 4 times attack and reduced damage taken when matching fire, wood, and dark orbs. And this could have been a strong leader skill in all honesty. Like you have 16 times damage, you have orb movement time, but the problem is you have and you could potentially have 50% damage reduction, which is huge. But the problem is you have to match fire, wood, and dark orbs, which can be a little problematic. I'd say it's still arguably easier than, like, say, 2 fire combos, because, at least statistically speaking, a given board should always have fire, wood, and dark orbs. So it has the potential to be a strong leader. It's much easier, in my opinion, to activate than a color cross, and you still can get combos. But you just have to be aware that you're going to be restricted in terms of the types of active skills you can actually use for board changers. But obviously Romeo herself has a great active skill, so maybe like this could be possibly a strong leader if you're able to clear the board every time and have at least your fire, wood, and dark orbs present. So because when you think about it, like it's 16 times damage, 50% damage reduction. Dual leaders is 256 times, attack 75% damage reduction. That's huge. 75% damage reduction is the equivalent to 4 times health. So it has the potential to be strong. It's nowhere near as reliable as something like Dark Metatron or Beach Barber and Julie, who have unconditional 4 times health, but it's still not a bad card overall. And in theory, you could even possibly pair with something like, say, Diabolus. Like, we've seen Roach from Dragonbound and Dragon Caller pair of Diabolus to give more consistency for their activation. Having 7x6 board means that you will be having almost always fire, wood, and dark orbs present, so it might be something to consider. May or may not always be the right decision, but again, at least there are some options. So Romeo seems reasonable, but I probably wouldn't monster exchange for her just because of the fact that she is strong, but I feel like she's not going to be as powerful as Beach Barber, Julie, Yusuke, Edward, so on and so forth. And now we come to Christmas Yogg. So Christmas Yogg follows the pattern of the seasonal Yoggs in that he has 7 combo, follow-up attack, co-op boost, and then skill boost galore and whatnot. So nice heavily weighted stats, powerful awakenings, synergistic active skill. His active skill is basically a color swapped of all the other Yoggs. You get a fire and heart board, 40% max health heal, 4 turn bind clear. incredibly powerful active skill overall. And then leader skill is the exact same idea as the other Yogs, except you need 2 fire combos for full activation. So 6 times attack when above 80%, 3 times attack RCB when below, and then 3 times attack damage reduction when matching 2 fire combos. So that's 18 times damage when you're above 80% health. Incredibly hard hitting, has a damage reduction, but the biggest problem with seasonal Yogs is that you will struggle to find friends who have seasonal Yogs because they are rare to roll. Like you're going to find more light Yog users than red or blue Yog users just because of how common they are. And then another issue is light Yog has the pairing of light I can't say their name properly, but it's the card that's basically like Hino 2.0. It's got huge amounts of damage after you match orbs. You gain bonus damage when you match 2 light combos, 3 skill boosts, double co-op boost awakening. So Yogg has that pairing for certain dungeon farming, which can be quite fast and efficient. Whereas Red Yogg doesn't have something as proficient overall. Like, yes, Hino does have that follow-up attack-based damage, but it's far weaker by comparison. And that's one reason why I'm surprised Hino is still in Player's Choice Godfest. It's just a weaker form of things that are currently available. So Red Yogg, I feel, will have less ideal leader pairings for like fast and efficient farming, as well as the fact that it's harder to find double fire or Christmas Yoggs because, well, they are going to be rare. And now we come to Christmas Ilmina, who gains a new evolution which makes her even fluffier and more adorable. So she's got 2 skill boosts, basically 3 time extends, VDP, skill bind resist, 2 team healths, and then a 7 combo. Her active skill is still the same. It's still 100,000 fixed damage, and then change the board to fire, light, and heal orbs. In theory, Ilmina is better because you get a bicolor board changer. It's easier to solve for ranking dungeons, and that's why Ilmina is kind of one of the most desirable cards for ranking dungeons. If you have Ilmina, you're more likely to crown just because you open up team building compositions. But regular Ilmina is arguably a better sub because of the team healths, as well as the fact that having a board of fire, light, and heal orbs makes it so you can follow up attack and heal at the same time if necessary. Their leader skill is you make the board 7x6 and then 4 times attack for light, 3 times attack and damage reduction when matching a heart cross. So that's actually a pretty high multiplier. 12 times attack for 7x6 with a heart cross is pretty high. But the problem is heart cross leaders just really struggle at this day and age. Like, I'm not a fan of heart crossing now. I used to be when it first came out, but it's just the fact that like it's awkward to do. It takes a lot of space. Your combo count is diminished. Inconsistent activation. It's just not the greatest thing overall, but Ilmina here is an amazing sub, and in fact her health is one of the highest in the game. If I'm not mistaken, with her limit breaking, she might even pass Amatsu, which is quite ridiculous. And then you factor the team health awakenings, even more amazing. And now are the buffs that are occurring for this. There are very few buffs, unfortunately, and Christmas Callie was surprisingly absent from the buff list, which is disappointing because some people were hoping that Christmas Callie would become the next big and exciting rainbow leader. So Christmas Gremory is a card I've never been very fond of, unfortunately. You've got Rose and Heart Cross, so many things that are going to have problems. But her active skill is very similar. It's 3 hearts, 3 heals. No, sorry, 3 hearts, 3 fire orbs, reduce binds by 3. Cool, that's nice, but again, it's hard to justify using her because she doesn't have the ideal awakenings we want for any team. Her leader skill is 3 times attack for Balance God Devil types on a turn a skill is used, and then 6 times attack and reduce damage taken by 35%, which is now 50, when matching 5 hearts and a cross. So 75% damage reduction for a heart cross, and potentially 18 times attack. So yes, it's a high multiplier, but you have to use an active skill, and Red lacks an ideal 1-turn orb chain or 1-turn active skill card, and you have typing restrictions, you have to heart cross, so many things have to go right for, in theory, a reasonably low rate of return. So I'm not entirely impressed with Christmas Gremory. Next is the Time Shift Black Dragon Caller Sonya. Yeah, it's not a high rarity card. It's not going to be seen very much, unfortunately. It's just Gung-Ho tends to give very little love for the lower rarity cards, especially in 5 Magic Stone rare machines. And now these are buffs, and obviously these are buffs for only the Christmas version. So Christmas Ilmina gains a second 7 combo or VDP. So with double 7 combo VDP, you're kind of akin to like Yusuke in terms of damage output for void damage penetrations. If you take the second VDP and the 7 combo, you're higher than Yusuke's Dark Metatrons, etc. because VDP is 2.5 times, 7 combo is 2 times. So Christmas Ilmina does gain even more power and flexibility for what she can do with her Super Awakenings. Christmas Yogg, and this is surprising, gains Super Awakenings right away. Usually new cards debut and they don't have Super Awakenings. So Christmas Yogg can now gain 7 combo or VDP. And so he could have 2 7 combos, he could have VDP, he could have follow attack. He can do a bit of everything. But again, Christmas Yogg is going to have issues pairing in my opinion. Like I already mentioned beforehand, Romeo can gain a 3rd 7 combo or a VDP. I'm probably more inclined to get the 7 combo unless you're really desperate for a wood VDP. But again, it's all up to your own personal preference and what you feel is going to be ideal. The main issue is giving Romeo VDP is not going to be so great for her as a leader because you have to match 3 different colors. It's harder to squeeze the VDP in as well as hitting those 7 combos at the same time. Whereas 7 combos is just universally going to be high damage output. Grita gains another TPA, so she could have 5 TPAs. Cool. Or Tape, Cloud Resist, and then Fagin, who is just not that great of a card. Unfortunately, could get a second 7 combo, so you'd have 2 7 combos, but again, a double 7 combo card with Super Awakening Clause is problematic because Super Awakenings do not take effect in co-op mode. So that's kind of just a heads up of what is coming to Puzzle and Dragons for Christmas time. It gives you an idea of whether or not you want to spend your magic stones here, but in all honesty, I feel that Player's Choice Godfest is a stronger event overall. So, with all that being said, let me know what you think about these cards, buffs, and changes in the comments below. Do you think you'd be rolling Christmas or just kind of taking your free roll and pretending it doesn't exist? Hopefully all a Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.